Hello loves, welcome to Cancer season 2025. So this video is for June 20 to July 21, and we're going to be talking about Cancerian themes and all of the planetary house adjustments that are happening and sign adjustments that are happening. We have a Mercury retrograde, a new and full moon, and a bunch of themes going on. So if you are brand new here, welcome. My name's Heidi. I am an astrologer, energy healer. I teach intuitive collage. I have a planner and collage and journal practice that I use as spiritual practice. And I've just barely started sharing some of those videos, and I'm loving it. It's one of my favorite things. I'm discovering that sharing those videos is almost more exciting in some ways for me than the astrology or energy healing, or I have a bunch of chants on my channel. I'm a teacher on Insight Timer. So if you're brand new to my work, you can find a bunch of classes on Insight Timer. I have a 3-part astrology series. I have a couple versions of a 40-day Learn to Chant course. I have a Chanting Through the Chakras course. I just uploaded an energy medicine in the chakras course, which is really one of my favorite things now that that's out there, because it's yoking together, bringing in your own intuition to kind of tune into what is your body trying to say to you. And it connects to the chakras, which then connects to the mantras and also connects to astrology, essential oils, all kinds of other things that I teach about. So you can find me on Insight Timer there. And let's dive into it. There's some interesting themes coming up already, and I want to give this kind of precursor here because there's a bunch of themes kind of coming up for me, a bunch of themes coming up in the astrology. I personally, even though I'm an astrologer now, but for years before I read astrology, I would listen to astrology videos all the time, and I would just tune out all of the astrology and just listen for what it means. And because of that, I like to weigh more heavy in my own videos on the energy and the emotions, the stuff that's coming up, which is so Cancerian anyway. Because a lot of people don't read astrology or they don't understand the language, and then it just ends up being extra. So I'm going to try to lean in to that. But what's interesting too, I want to give a little bit of a kind of energetic update for my work and me and what's been going on and changes that are coming to my YouTube channel and just my work in general. So for those of you that are new, you won't know that I used to do monthly energy updates for about 7 years. And about a year ago, I kept getting this nudge to, there was something about the schedule of it that rubbed me the wrong way, and it didn't work. And through my dive into, Hobonichi Traveler's Notebook, like all the planning, and journaling practice, it really has gotten me in touch with why that was coming up and what wasn't working for me. So I'm in the process of breaking up with a Gregorian calendar, and that may seem silly, but I'm going to do a separate video on it with my journals to explain why, because once I got into astrology and into the details, I realized why, because it is not in sync with nature and it is not in sync with astrology. And so that's a side note, but the reason I want to say that is because I want people to know that I'm starting to, like with the last video that I did about Gemini season, which I didn't even intend to do it that way, it just came out organically. And then I realized, oh, that rhythm feels better for me. So I say that for 2 reasons. One, for you to know for now, and, I reserve the right to change my mind, as I said in the Gemini video. But I'm feeling like the rhythm that I want to be in sync with is more with the sun seasons. So Gemini season, Cancer season, Leo season, and kind of lean into that. So I'm going to do that for the next couple of months and just kind of see how it feels. So that's going to be, so I want you to know that so that you can expect like, oh, okay, that's probably the rhythm I'm going to be on with astrology and energetic updates. But I also want you to know that for yourself, because as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as just a human on the planet doing anything, it is so important for us to be in sync with our own rhythm and timing, not the rhythm and timing of everybody else and the planet. Like, there's a place for that, but when we get swept up into it, we can kind of lose ourselves, and we're not dancing to the beat of our own drummer, in a sense. And so when I accidentally did that Gemini season video last month, I was like, oh, and then it kind of occurred to me, I'm like, oh, that feels better to me because it's more in sync. And you'll even notice as we go, I'm going to start bringing those details in more into moon ceremonies too. So if you don't know, in addition to the insight timer, I do 2 moon ceremonies every month on the new and full moon. I teach intuitive collage around the new and full moon as well. And there's a membership that includes all of those. The moon ceremonies are pre-recorded and the intuitive collage happens on Zoom live. So that's there for you. But, I'm going to start bringing that rhythm into the moon ceremonies as well, because what's really confusing to our energetic body, I think, and this is part of the Gregorian calendar thing, is we have a new and full moon that go together, the moon cycle that gets cut across 2 months, and it doesn't make any sense. So that's why when the Gemini season video accidentally came out that way, and now I'm going to do a Cancer one here, that's why that is starting to feel better to me, because it's in sync with the planets and there's a cohesiveness, because the new and full moon cycle is telling a story. And if it's cut across the month, we kind of lose that. And so one full moon gets associated to the next new moon and it's kind of out of sync. So anyways, I'm going to end on that. I want to dive into the energy of it, but I did want to give you a little bit of an update of what's going on with me and shifts so you can have a sense of what to expect. So Cancer season in general starts on June 20th. The sun moves into Cancer. It will move into Leo on July 21. So it is over a month span, but it goes from, mid of one month to mid of the next month when you're talking about the Cancer season. On the same day as the sun goes into Cancer, we have a solstice. So in the northern hemisphere, it's a summer solstice. In the winter hemisphere, it's a winter solstice. So we're at the threshold between light and dark. So there's a transition happening there from inward to outward or outward to inward. And so that's a way that you can kind of think about it. So one thing that I love about astrology is that the energy of it tells an archetypal story, and it's showing us kind of where spirit is guiding us. So before even the sun moves into Cancer, there were several transitions of planets into new signs prior to this that are beautifully setting this up. And I love to include that because it does kind of give us an awareness that we're not doing this alone, and spirit has our back and has a plan, and there's a system and an organization to it. So on June 5th, Venus went into Taurus. So Venus in Taurus is so happy. Venus rules Taurus. Taurus is earthly, material wealth. It's the minerals of the soil. It's the richness. It's nourishment and self-worth. It's like the worth that is the value of you. So Venus, the mother, is like moving into Taurus, getting her needs met. Then a few days later on the 8th, Mercury went into Cancer. So Mercury is our language, our communication. It's sharing ideas. So it's prepping for this movement into Cancer to start talking about our inner emotions and what's going on the inside. And then the very next day, on the 9th, Jupiter went into Cancer. Okay, Jupiter has a year cycle. So Jupiter will be in Cancer for a whole year, and it has been in Gemini. And Gemini is, chatty, witty banter, ideas for days, all the things. And Jupiter expands everything it touches. So for the last year, it's been like ideas on steroids, everything coming at us. And now the collective is going to move into a focus around feelings, emotions, everything that's happening deep on the inside. Cancer is the symbol of the crab for a reason, because it's sensitive on the inside and it has a hard shell to protect that hypersensitivity, and pinchers to use when it needs it. So in the lower octave, you know, if Cancer gets too sensitive, it can pinch and harm unnecessarily because it got triggered or, you know, got its feelings hurt or whatever. So the setup there was those three things. Venus into Taurus, taking care of that self-worth, tending, getting her needs met. Mercury in Cancer, beginning to communicate and think and share about feelings. And then Jupiter going into Cancer for a year is going to be a really beautiful moment for the collective to start thinking about what is happening on the inside. Am I attending to my inner world? So let me see, what do I want to go to next? So the couple things that are going to happen, there's about 3 transitions of planets into new signs during this Cancer season. And then we have a Mercury retrograde coming in later in July, but the shadow is going to begin during Cancer season. So the very first transition that we are going to have is Mercury into Leo. So Mercury is typically in a sign for about 2 weeks, but because it's going to be retrograding, it's going to be in Leo for about 2 months. Mercury is going to go into Leo on June 26, and Leo is the actor, the artist, the one on stage. It's the kind of creator. It's, you know, the artist that needs to express its feelings. So we've got, you know, Mercury had gone into Cancer, connecting with its feelings, and then it's going to be in Leo for almost 2 months. And so, in fact, I wrote it down here. It doesn't go into Virgo until September 2nd. So we're going to have this period of all this bloom of emotion. And remember, even though Mercury is going to move into Leo and then into Virgo, Jupiter is going to be in Cancer for a whole year. So that theme of emotions is with us for the whole year. So Mercury is going to want to express. So there's going to be a part of you that just tune in and feel it, archetypally needs to express those inner emotions, like what has been coming up for you, as a way of like witnessing and reflecting and seeing your own emotions. And then Venus is going to go into Gemini on July 4. And Uranus is going to come right behind her on July 7 into Gemini. So Venus and Uranus are going to be in Gemini together. And the thing that's so beautiful about that is, you know, Venus is that internal, the feminine. It's what we urge for. It's what we hunger for. It's our desire. It's our passion, and some, you know, creativity too there. She's love and harmony and all those things. She rules both Taurus and Libra. So Venus in Gemini is going to want to share what is on her mind, what is on her heart. And, you know, Gemini is a mind sign anyways. It's the mental air energy. And so Venus is going to want to share and talk about the feminine, you know, what's going on with her. And Uranus is all about the freak flag, the uniqueness, what happens in the unseen realms. It's the out there, or the woo-woo. You know, I call it the nutty professor of the zodiac. And so in Gemini, the both of them together, there's a unification there around like the uniqueness of the feminine, or like nerding out on a little bit of that, because Gemini is that exchange of ideas and really diving into study about something and sharing those ideas across time with people. And then Mercury will go into its shadow for retrograde on July 3rd. Is that right? Did I put that in there correctly? Yeah, because the retrograde is going to be July 17 to August 11. So the shadow, it's in shadow phase for about 2 weeks before it goes into retrograde. The retrograde is 3 weeks, and then it's in an integration phase for 2 weeks after that. And one of my teachers used to always say that Mercury retrograde is a disintegration to reintegration process. So there's something about what's happening, and the fact that Mercury rules Gemini, where Venus and Uranus will be, is so interesting, because it says that there's a review of something there, some way that we used to think, or some like automatic thinking that we had that, we need to review. There's something that's, probably a sense of not acknowledging the wisdom of the feminine and the uniqueness and the necessary kind of freak flag, the things that make us different and the beauty that needs to be held in that. And then, so we've got all of that going on. Pluto is in retrograde already. I didn't say that at the beginning, but that's been in retrograde since May 4th and will be until October 13. So something to know about Pluto retrograde. It's retrograde about 6 months out of every year. So it's not uncommon for it to be retrograde, but Pluto rules the big out there, like full collective societal patterns. And I learned something just recently, that if you are people that are born under a Pluto retrograde, indicates that they are here to kind of disrupt the status quo. And there's something there about, like, I'm not going to jive with what's happening, in the outside system. So it's interesting that Pluto is in retrograde right as I'm kind of discovering that part of myself, and like, what parts of videos on YouTube do I want to do just audio? What do I want to do video? What like collage things do I want to show? That's, kind of the overhead camera angle and all of that. So I'm working all of that out myself. And by the way, I don't intend all of these energetic updates to only be audio, but I'm just testing it out a second time here after that Gemini one to see how it goes. And it's also so interesting as I sat down to even do this, that I'm like, this Cancer season is so inward. Cancer rules the 4th house, and the 4th house is hidden. All the water houses are hidden houses. And hidden houses are like kind of private. They're more internal, and they don't really want to be seen. It's like an internal process that you're kind of doing. So I was like, oh, this is so weird, because I kind of felt like I wanted to just get on video, but I was like, well, it's so in theme with the Cancerian energy that I'm just going to do the audio, because it's like, receiving a message from a cave or something. It's like, like I'm hidden, but you still can reach my, you can still hear my message, and I'm still broadcasting, but I'm not on camera. There's just a really interesting energy there. And then just kind of in general, I've been feeling into the energy as an entrepreneur of being public and being online, and what ways I want to do that and not. And I think a lot of that energetic energy is shifting. Hello, Venus and Uranus and Gemini that's coming up. And Mercury in Leo, like speaking about it, like speaking about what you're creating. And I think that that is also just so interesting. So some of the themes coming up for Cancer season to think about, there's, and I've been feeling this without even looking at the astrology, just feeling the energy of the inner child work coming in really big. It's like attending to our inner emotional state. And the sense that I get when I, put my pulse on the collective is most people don't really know how they feel. I talk about this in my latest energy medicine and the chakras course. Most people, when asked how they're doing, give the pat answer, fine, how are you? And I think some of that is because of societal expectations, but I think some of that is also because I think most of us don't know how we feel. I think most of us don't slow down long enough to have any clue. We don't have meditation practices, chanting practice, pranayama, yoga, whatever, all the inward practices. I think, certainly there's a lot of people that do. And if you're following me, you probably do. But I think just the collective sense is that, we don't do that. And Cancer season really calls us inward to do that. So there's the questions that come up here are what needs tending. And then also what needs expressing, because Venus and Uranus are going to go into Gemini and Mercury is going to go into retrograde. And so there's energy around expressing, around communication, and then just Mercury retrograde anyway is getting the data. And the midpoint of Mercury, like there's always a message that comes through during Mercury retrograde season, and they happen 3 times a year. So you can set your watch by it, you know they're coming, and then you can work with them much more easily. But usually by the midpoint of Mercury retrograde, there's a message for you. There's something, and if you're paying attention to it, then you can be attentive to it and do some journaling and kind of touch in and go, okay, what am I being asked to shift? You know, what perspective have I had that I have not questioned? And now that Mercury retrograde's happening, it's like they're always happening, so if you're attentive to it though, you can make it work for you. You can kind of work with it and get in sync with it and then use it to your benefit. So the 4th house that Cancer rules home and family. So it's internal things like that. There might be messages around home, could be moving, but also just like the state of your energetic home. Like it can be your physical home. It can be your home life, the people that live with you, the relationships that are happening in there. Are those, smooth and copacetic? And how is that all going? So something else that is just completely bizarre that I want to bring in, and I feel like, maybe some of it will come through now, but I feel like I kind of want to tend to it and do some channeling around this because I think it's so bizarre. It's come across my awareness before, but in sitting down to think about doing this message, it really came in strong. Cancer, I just find it interesting, and I actually want to look it up. I meant to do it before. Where does the illness cancer get its name from? Because what's interesting is that Cancer season and the Cancer sign is all about internal emotions and the emotional state, and it's a water sign. So we're always like, our body is always tending, because we're mostly water, our body is always tending to this balance of the water within. And our menstrual cycles are ruled by the state, the place of the moon. I don't know why I can't get the word out. The cycles of the moon. And so we know just by that alone how much the magnetic pull of water affects our bodies. And I think it's really interesting and just something to ponder. Like, did the illness Cancer get its name? Is it in any way associated to the zodiac sign? Because even if it's not, the interesting synchronicity is that to have too much Cancer would be like a Cancerian energy, is to have too much internal emotions that have not been processed and released and alchemicalized and composted. And there's a way that, the signs and the kind of the pattern that's happening in the astrological archetypal energy that I've already gone through is talking about, like, expressing those internal emotions. And it makes me wonder, did Cancer get its name from that? Like, it's too much Cancer energy. And when we don't express our emotions and we don't get them out, they back up on us and they cause disease. I go into this more in my energy medicine and the chakras class. And so if nothing else, I just want to bring that up. But also, I want to talk about the new and full moon cycle that I was talking about. When you ignore the months and you just look at the sun sign rotation and the change into the different signs, there's a new and a full moon that happen inside of that sun sign pattern. And the new moon that we're going to have is in Cancer immediately after the sun goes into Cancer. And then the full moon is opposite that in Capricorn. So I'll give you those dates. The new moon in Cancer is June 25, and the full moon in Capricorn is July 10. And even just saying that, I'm just going to say, to honor my own uniqueness and my own inner system, this is something that I even struggle in bringing these videos through, because I prefer to just channel and bring through the energy. And yet I also want to include the astrology. But when I pause to like give the individual dates and all of that stuff and like go down into the details, it kind of pulls me out of the channel. And I personally, as like a consumer and listener and reader of the energy and the astrology, I kind of don't give a shit. Like, a lot of it doesn't really matter. What matters is the energy and the pattern and the energetic rhythm that we're being brought into. So I hope that I can do that part of it justice, because to me, that is more important. But back to the new and full moon, the cycle of the new moon in Cancer to the full moon in Capricorn is the cycle of emotional maturity. The Cancer Capricorn axis is the healing axis of emotional maturity. So that is something that we want to pay attention to. That's the energy that we're being called into, is to upgrade and up-level our emotional maturity and dive into those inner emotions in Cancer and ask, what is not being attended? And, Capricorn is like the sovereign CEO that is going to turn, it's not Chiron, but it kind of has a Chiron flavor of like alchemicalizing the pain and turning it into purpose, which is more, Chiron. But anyway, so that's the gist. I'm curious what's coming up for you. What kind of emotional patterns are coming up? What kind of creative things might you be being called to? Maybe you found my channel because of my latest journal and collage videos and all of that. And if so, you're absolutely invited to come to Intuitive Collage anytime. It is one of my favorite practices. It really has nothing to do with art. It's more about an internal journey within yourself and a conversation with spirit. And we pull images at random and you make a collage with and based on the images that came at random. And the process of that unfolds a message and a lesson for you. And I'm telling you, every time we do this together, there are common themes that everyone on the call have, on the Zoom call. And there'll be themes, there'll be colors, there'll be images that repeat, and it's really crazy. So that's beautiful. That's there for you. And then also the moon ceremonies are there for you. So if you like this kind of message and you want more of this like energetic update and deep dive, consider coming to one of the moon ceremonies, and you can get your first one for free by going to my website, putting in your email in the pop-up that comes, and then you'll get a code for your first one free. But I dive more into the astrology, the energy, kind of like this, but more on a rhythmic pattern with the new and full moon. And then the second half of it, it's usually about an hour long, and the second half of it is a group energy healing. So we dive into, it's kind of like a guided meditation, and we move through things and shift energy and get some really, really beautiful downloads. The full moon in Sagittarius that we just had was unbelievable. So that's there for you if you want to do that one, or you can wait and do the new moon in Cancer. All right. I love you. I hope you're doing well. I hope that the audio way that I'm bringing this through is supportive for you. And I'm just testing it out. I mean, this is me kind of diving into my own Cancerian inner world and then going, okay, with that Leo energy, what do I want and how do I want to express? And my Mercury is in Leo in my birth chart anyway. So that's like a really natural, organic way for me to be. Anyway, so all right. I love you. I hope you're doing well. And please ask any questions and let me know what's going on with you. And I'll see you on the interwebs wherever we meet. All right. Take care.